They're watching you, not because they admire you, but because they're calculating you. Manipulators don't look for strength, they look for softness, open wounds, signs of approval, seeking. And the moment they sense hesitation in your voice or guilt in your eyes, they strike. This world isn't filled with fair fights. It's filled with psychological warfare hidden behind smiles, compliments, and fake concern. You were taught to be kind, honest, and open. But manipulators weaponize your kindness, distort your honesty, and dig through your openness like vultures through a carcass. If you keep playing the good guy in a world of predators, you'll keep getting eaten alive. Niccolo Machiavelli said, "One who wishes to act entirely up to his profession of virtue soon meets with what destroys him." In other words, if you want to survive, you must understand the game. And if you want to dominate, you must learn to play it better than anyone else. This video isn't a lecture, it's a manual for psychological warfare. A battle plan forged in cold logic, sharp instincts, and ruthless clarity. You're about to learn how to spot manipulators in seconds, how to flip their power plays back on them, and how to walk through chaos with unreadable calm. From this point forward, you don't react, you calculate. You don't justify, you observe. You don't prove anything, because power never begs. The mirror defense. Here's what manipulators hate more than anything: their own reflection. They don't want to be seen, they want to see you. They rely on the illusion that they're smarter, more composed, and always in control. The second you reflect their behavior back to them, the game shatters. The mirror defense is simple. Stop reacting emotionally and start reflecting behavior strategically. If they speak in riddles, respond with silence. If they push for answers, ask them the same question they just asked you. If they fake kindness to bait you in, match it. Coldly, calmly, but never deepen the emotional exchange. You're not giving them anything new to work with. You're making them face themselves. Why does this work? Because manipulation depends on asymmetry. They need to act, and they need you to respond. When you mirror instead of engage, the manipulator becomes unsure. They lose their advantage. They're no longer leading the dance. They're watching their moves get thrown right back at them. In real life, this looks like a calm stare when someone tries to provoke you. A polite, "That's interesting, why do you ask?" when someone digs for your weaknesses. Or simply mirroring their tone and words back with controlled detachment. You're not fighting them, you're showing them their own mask, and most people can't stand looking at it for long. Remember, the more they try to bend you, the more you become their mirror. Comment this below if you're done being predictable. My see through the game, the emotion vacuum. The manipulator's greatest weapon is not their words, it's your reaction. They test you with subtle digs, passive-aggressive smiles, or fake praise laced with hidden insults. And the moment you flinch, defend, or over-explain, they win, because now you're inside the emotional cage they built for you. You're playing by their rules. But here's the kill shot. Remove emotion from the equation entirely. Become a vacuum, cold, silent, unreadable. When you stop reacting, they lose control. The manipulator doesn't know what move to make when the board goes still. Your silence becomes a mirror they can't stand. Your neutrality, a fog they can't navigate. When someone tries to provoke you, give them nothing. Not anger, not a smile, not even confusion, just eye contact and stillness. If they make a joke at your expense, don't laugh. Don't correct them, let the silence expand. Let them feel the discomfort of their own game failing. This isn't about being numb, it's about being in command. Emotion is not your enemy, public emotion is. In private you feel everything, but in front of a manipulator you feel nothing, because emotion is data, and you don't give data to the enemy. Strategic delay. Manipulators thrive on urgency. They pressure you to answer fast, decide quickly, react immediately. Why? Because speed kills thinking. And when you're moving fast, you don't see the trap until you're already in it. This is where you break their rhythm, with one of the most underrated power plays: delay. The art of not responding when they expect it. The strategy of slowing down time so they sit in their own uncertainty. Silence isn't passive, it's surgical. Strategic delay gives you space to observe their intent, their patterns, and their desperation. And that desperation will always expose them. Let's make this real. Someone sends you a message laced with pressure. Can you do this for me? Or, I need an answer right now. Most people rush to please. You wait hours, maybe even a full day. You create psychological space. The manipulator starts unraveling. They begin to second-guess their power. They might double text. They might soften, or they might lash out, exposing their emotional instability. Either way, you win. Machiavelli understood the power of timing. He didn't believe in reacting. He believed in striking when it served his strategy, not theirs. You're not here to be available. You're here to be effective. Strategic delay reclaims your time, your frame, and your authority. And it doesn't end with texts or calls. Use this tactic in person. When someone confronts you, don't respond immediately. Pause, breathe, let silence speak first. That moment of hesitation becomes unsettling. They'll start to fill in the silence with their own fears, their own doubts. You're no longer on the defense, they are. You don't owe anyone instant access to your mind. Delayed response is not weakness. It's proof that you're thinking, calculating, choosing when and if to respond, on your terms. This is how kings operate. This is how power speaks without raising its voice. Reward reversal. Manipulators bait you with two tools: praise and guilt. If they can't seduce you with compliments, they'll guilt you with obligation. Both are psychological levers. One pulls your ego, the other your conscience. And if you respond to either, you're already under control. But here's the twist. Instead of resisting the reward, you flip it. You reverse the dynamic. You stop chasing validation and make them chase yours. This is called reward reversal, one of the coldest tactics in psychological warfare. Instead of rewarding their behavior with approval, attention, or agreement, you selectively withdraw. You remove the reward manipulators seek most: emotional response. And, in doing so, you change the entire power structure of the interaction. Let's break this down. When someone flatters you excessively, "You're so good at this, no one does it like you," they're trying to hook you with ego-stroking bait. Most people take it. They smile, say thank you, and feel compelled to return the favor. But when you respond with indifference, a simple nod, or better yet, a subject change, you signal one thing: I don't need your praise. I already know my value. Now, guilt. This one is trickier because it wears the mask of morality. After everything I've done for you, or you really can't help just this once? Here, the manipulator is tapping into your desire to be seen as good, noble, loyal. But again, reward reversal comes into play. You shift the focus not by arguing, but by staying emotionally flat. You simply say, "Not this time," and move on. You don't explain. You don't defend, because defending guilt only makes you look guilty. Here's the core. People are addicted to validation, especially manipulators. They thrive on being seen, heard, and obeyed. When you become the source of validation and then restrict it, they spiral. You control when it's given, how it's given, and most importantly, if it's given. A powerful real-life example. During a meeting, a manipulative coworker takes credit for your work, expecting you to either explode or shrink. You do neither. Instead, you publicly compliment someone else on the team for their contribution, ignoring the manipulator completely. You've just executed reward reversal. You've denied them the reaction, denied them the spotlight, and redirected power to a place of your choosing. That's dominance, without confrontation. Reward reversal makes you the frame setter. You're not reacting to their script, you're writing your own. You don't fight for attention, you become the source others quietly want approval from. You create the game, they just play in it. Never forget, approval is power, and the one who can give it, or take it away, owns the room. Ambiguity, armor. Clarity makes you predictable. Ambiguity makes you dangerous. Manipulators study people like maps. They watch your patterns, they listen for contradictions, they bait you with questions that seem innocent. So, what are you thinking? Why didn't you respond right away? What's your plan next? But here's the truth. They don't want you to know. The moment you give them clarity, you give them coordinates. And once they have coordinates, they start plotting how to use you. That's why the most powerful weapon in psychological defense isn't aggression, it's ambiguity. Controlled vagueness, intentional silence, the refusal to explain. Because when they can't figure out where you stand, they can't form a plan to push you off balance. You don't owe people access to your inner world, not your goals, not your insecurities, not your next move. Manipulators thrive on the illusion of closeness. They pretend to connect, not because they care, but because they want information. They want an opening. But when you become unreadable, they become ineffective. You're no longer a chessboard, you're fog. You're not an opponent they can calculate, you're a question they can't answer. Ambiguity armor begins with language. Stop giving absolute answers. Stop over-explaining. Speak in measured tones with intentional gaps. When asked, "What do you want out of this?" say, "I'm still deciding." When asked, "Where do you stand on this issue?" respond with, "It depends on how things evolve." When someone demands to know what's wrong, don't rant. Say, "I'm processing." Short, vague, calm. They'll press harder, that's normal. But your silence will make them louder. And the louder they get, the more exposed they become. Another layer of ambiguity is physical presence. Watch your body language. Don't oversmile. Don't nod excessively. Don't lean in too much. When you reveal too much interest or approval through gestures, manipulators register that as leverage. Instead, give them stillness, give them pauses, let them wonder if they impressed you, annoyed you, or confused you. You are the enigma now, not the victim. And here's the Machiavellian twist. Ambiguity isn't weakness, it's strategy. Machiavelli advised rulers to be both lion and fox, force and cunning. Force is what you do, cunning is what you hide. When you're ambiguous, you're not indecisive, you're untouchable. You create doubt in their mind while staying fully in control of yours. You frustrate their attempts to analyze you, predict you, or pin you down. Think about the power dynamics this creates. In conversation, when you say less, the other person reveals more. People hate psychological silence. They rush to fill it, and in doing so, they expose what they fear, what they want, and how far they're willing to go, all while you sit back and watch. In relationships, when you don't label everything, when you keep parts of your life private, you maintain leverage. You create contrast. One moment you're warm, the next you're unreadable. And that contrast keeps people hooked, guessing, and cautious, because no one wants to lose what they don't fully understand. Mystery breeds value. Even in professional settings, ambiguity is power. The one who speaks last in a negotiation has the edge. The one who doesn't reveal their full intentions forces others to guess, and guessing creates hesitation. In leadership, this becomes an advantage. You're not erratic, you're deliberate. You're not cold, you're calculating. You're not distant, you're disciplined with your presence. Ambiguity creates space, and in that space you observe everything. You gather data, you watch people reveal their hand before you ever lift yours. You become a psychological shadow, always present, never obvious. So the next time someone demands clarity, pause. The next time you feel the urge to explain, resist it. The more they want to understand you, the more you hold back, not out of fear, but out of control. Because in a world full of loud performers and fake transparency, nothing is more powerful than a person no one can figure out. The exit threat. A manipulator's power dies the second they believe you can walk away and actually mean it. You see, most people stay in the game too long. They argue, they plead, they try to make sense of someone's bad behavior, hoping to fix the relationship, the deal, the situation. But manipulators thrive on that emotional attachment. They bet on your fear of losing the connection. They test how far they can push before you finally break. But when you stop clinging, when you stop proving, when you stop explaining yourself, you become a psychological threat. That's where the exit threat comes in. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not an announcement. It's a quiet, confident possibility that you project with your presence. I'm not tied to this. I don't need this. I'm here because I choose to be, and I can leave just as easily. That idea alone dismantles most manipulators. Because they don't operate from true power. They operate from control through dependence. They trap you emotionally, financially, socially, so the thought of losing them feels like death. But the second you become detached, they panic. Detachment is terrifying to people who manipulate. Why? Because it makes you unreadable. You're no longer reacting to their pressure. You're not chasing their validation. You're not clinging to the relationship or the outcome. You're just there, calm, centered, and willing to disappear at any moment without warning. That is unbreakable leverage. Let's bring it down to the real world. In a toxic relationship, the manipulator guilt trips you every time you try to assert yourself. You say no, and they say, "So you don't care about me." You try to take space, and they say, "I guess I'm not a priority." The goal is to make you question your boundaries, to make you feel bad for having them. But then one day, you don't respond with explanations. You don't argue. You don't cry. You just say, "All right," and you disappear for a few days. No calls, no texts, just presence removed. That silence burns, not because you're trying to punish them, but because for the first time, they feel powerless. The same silence they once used to control you has now turned against them, and they start spiraling. Or take a workplace scenario. A colleague constantly undermines you, takes credit for your work, or pressures you into carrying their weight. Most people complain. They try to reason. But the cold strategist doesn't. You document everything. You get your results, you build connections on the side, and one day you request a transfer, or better, you resign and walk straight into a better opportunity. You don't beg, you don't warn, you vanish with your value. That's what the exit threat is, psychological oxygen control. You become the one who can pull the plug at any moment, and they know it. But here's the key. This tactic only works if it's real. You must truly believe that you don't need anyone's approval, that your life is not defined by the opinions or behaviors of others. The threat of leaving only has weight if you're actually willing to walk. So how do you project this without saying a word? First, through time control. Don't always be available. Don't always respond instantly. Don't always explain where you've been. Let your absence be part of your presence. Let them wonder. Second, through emotional discipline. When someone disrespects you, don't react. Don't defend. Don't even look wounded. Look calm. Look finished. Show them their behavior has no emotional pull on you anymore. Third, through financial and mental independence. If someone controls your paycheck or your living situation, they'll always think they own your behavior. Build your options in silence. Build your escape routes in private. And then, when the moment comes, disappear with dignity. Machiavelli said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking." What most people miss is this. You don't need to scream to be feared. Sometimes the most terrifying person in the room is the one who smiles and quietly walks away, with everything they built and everything you once took for granted. This tactic isn't about ghosting. It's not about being cold for no reason. It's about making sure every connection in your life is chosen, not chained. The exit threat creates space for truth. It reveals who respects your boundaries and who only stayed because they thought you'd never leave. Some people only love you as long as they think you're theirs. Remove that assumption and watch their true self show. This tactic won't just protect you from manipulators, it will reshape every relationship you have. People respect what they believe they can lose, and when you operate with quiet detachment, every manipulative game collapses in on itself. The gaslighting fails, the guilt-tripping backfires, the emotional hooks, they rust and break, because you're no longer playing to be accepted. You're walking in already whole. You're not proving your worth, you're proving that you'll protect your peace, no matter what it costs. Master-level strategy. When to play dumb. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who pretends not to see. Manipulators expect resistance. They thrive on your reactions. So when you give them nothing, no defense, no explanation, no emotion, you dismantle them silently. This is the art of playing dumb. You see the game. You recognize the trap, but you act like you don't. That alone breaks their rhythm. They insult you with a passive jab. You smile faintly, move on. They test you with a question meant to corner you. You shrug it off with disinterest. Meanwhile, you're observing everything, calculating, documenting, waiting. The power in this tactic is patience. You don't strike when they expect it. You wait until it matters. You let them think they're winning, that they've fooled you, and when they're most comfortable, you expose everything, calmly, without effort. Because the real win isn't proving them wrong in the moment, it's proving they never had control in the first place. Let them believe you're blind while you quietly build the blueprint to destroy them. You're no longer playable. You're not who you were at the beginning of this video. You've crossed into a mindset few ever reach, the mindset of the unreadable. You no longer explain your silence. You don't justify your distance. You don't flinch when someone tries to provoke you, because now you understand what they never wanted you to learn. Power doesn't chase, it chooses. You've stopped being the emotional supplier to those who fed on your reactions. You've killed the instinct to fix, to please, to explain, and in its place, you've built stillness, precision, cold clarity. You now speak with intent or not at all. You walk into rooms without seeking acceptance. You make people adjust to your presence instead of adapting to theirs. And when a manipulator tries their usual tricks, you don't resist them, you dissolve them with indifference. That's real power. That's psychological dominance. You don't need approval anymore. You've replaced it with authority. You are no longer baited, no longer drained, no longer exposed. You are a ghost to those who once thought they could read you. And to a manipulator, that's the most terrifying thing of all. Someone they cannot control. If you've become untouchable, comment below. I am unreadable, I am untouchable. This is Side Signal. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Your war begins now. And this time, you're the one pulling strings.